Don your quaintest bonnet, pack your hot-crossed buns with care, and traverse the shattered landscape of your own subconscious.
Because it's time to talk Tull to me. Made me realize a lot of things in that.
Wow. About your bonnet?
I don't have any quaint bonnets, Omen. Made me realize that. It's really upsetting. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Talk Tull to Me. I am Nik McGill.
And I am Omen Sade.
We are Feckless Momes.
And this is Talk Tull to Me, a deep dive into the underpinnings of our earliest memories about Jethro Tull.
Almost as if they were a fairy tale. I see Ian Anderson coming out of a house made of gingerbread.
I see Clive Bunker coming out of a house made of Ian Anderson.
Oh. I see Martin Barr fighting a giant Ian Anderson with 7 heads.
Yes.
Yes.
And here we are, and Nick and I are simply trying to leave a trail of breadcrumbs back to where we started. All the way from the very first album to present day.
One song, one breadcrumb, every week.
Will we be baked into a cake in a giant witch's oven? Wait and see.
Will our evil stepmothers cut... Nope, I was thinking of the evil stepsisters. That they cut off their feet to fit into the glass slipper.
Will we get to go to the ball?
Oh, there we go. Or will we have to stay home and clean up after Ian Anderson again?
Will my prince ever come? Or will he just keep breathing heavily? Find out on Talk Tull to Me. Nick, what are we listening to this week?
Oh, dear Christ. This week, we are listening to... Oh, wait a second.
What is it?
I think we should listen to the little audio clip that I sent to you, Omen.
I am so excited.
For what better introduction? What better introduction than to hear this? This is a clip from their 1987 concert in, I believe it was in Philadelphia.
Really?
Yeah, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, November 24th, 1987, called the Upper Darby Concert. Let's take a listen.
I feel
that bad boy.
Like a pretty dress has just been made for me by pests and vermin.
Yes, it has. Now put it on and listen.
We're going to do a song in which I think Martin is one of those very quiet guys, as you know. I mean, you don't... Anybody ever recollect hearing Martin speak on stage? No? You've never actually ever heard this guy talk. So I think it's only fitting that Martin should be allowed to make this next introduction totally alone, unaided, unprovoked, unhelped in any way whatsoever.
Martin Barr! Thank you very much. I'd like to play a little tune, 2 little tunes. First one called Mother Goose, followed by Jacqueline.
And this is for Mary, whose birthday is today. Happy birthday, Mary.
Sorry, what's that? The birthday, it's a birthday, okay. Right, hey, I'm with you. You know, I like the sound of your voice, Martin. From far, far away. Which is actually how you sound to me, because I'm wearing these little earplugs in my ears, which kind of protect them from these dreadful frequencies that emanate from the speakers and things behind us. This is called, as Martin rightly says, Mother Goose or something. Yeah?
My favorite part about that introduction is where Ian is like, we're going to let Martin Barr do the introduction. Oh, thank you, Martin. Shut up. I'll do the introduction now.
Yeah. Yep.
Classic Ian Anderson.
But I figured you would want to hear Martin's voice, so I dug that up for you.
It's nice to hear it in my waking moments as well as in my dreams every night, Nick.
Did it match? Did it compare to his dream voice?
Oh, yes. I mean,
Yeah.
usually it's accompanied by angelic wings and
Singing cherubs.
the musty smell of manhood.
Oh, God.
Not like that.
Oh.
Why don't we have a listen to Mother Goose?
Well, yes, let's actually listen to Mother Goose.
As I did walk by Hampstead Fair, I came upon Mother Goose. So I turned
Well,
her loose.
well,
She was
well.
screaming.
My goodness.
You know, Nick, you know what I want to say right off the bat?
Please tell me what you want to say.
I remember when I was a teenager, I fooled around with the guitar a little bit, and I remember trying to learn that acoustic guitar intro to this song.
Yeah?
You know, the one that sounds really like simple and easy to master?
Yeah.
It is not.
No.
That acoustic guitar playing is so skillful
Yeah.
in this song, and it's so rhythmically precise, and yet comes off as so light. Ugh.
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh.
I want to get into, I've got a good list of actual instruments being played on this one that I'd like to get into.
Give it to me.
Since we're talking instruments. Ian Anderson on acoustic guitar, percussion, vocals, and backing vocals. That's not unusual for him to be both vocals and backing vocals.
He drinks a lot of coffee.
Martin Barr on acoustic and electric rhythm guitar.
Fascinating.
So that from our past episode, from Cheap Day Return,
Yeah.
Martin does play acoustic and acoustic rhythm guitar, so it
Yeah.
could have been him playing.
It could be, certainly, yeah.
And he also gets some percussion credit.
There must be some little wood blocks or something in this song.
Yeah, there's a handful, and there's plenty of tambourine and stuff in there too.
Lots of tambourine.
Jeffrey Hammond on alto recorder and backing vocals.
Yes. I think I
I'm
know
guessing
where,
that's
too.
him in basically that one friggin' stanza.
Walk
Laughed down by the
basin
putting green.
palms, try and get some sun. That one.
Nope, I was thinking left down by the putting green. I popped them in their holes.
It's the same tune. I think I think the effect is repeated.
I just didn't notice him singing there. It was very noticeable on.
I popped them in their holes. That one.
Yeah, that one. Good old Clive on just strictly percussion.
Yeah.
And John Evan on
Mellotron.
without fail at this point.
Which is really funny because
Pretty solid.
I can't detect the Mellotron in this song.
No, it's as much as everything's been remastered, for some reason the Aqualung quality of a lot of their tracks are still kind of muffled. Still kind of not the best quality,
Interesting.
I find.
Or it's just so subtle that the ears of mortals like us cannot detect it.
I mean, there is a lot going on musically in this song.
There is, certainly.
It's all, like you said, it may seem simple, but if you're not really super listening, like it all kind of, it blends. It becomes a bit of a quilt of sound. But if you're trying to pick stuff out, like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, there is. Well, thank you for that instrumental analysis.
Yeah.
Shall we jump straight into the thicket?
Sure. I just want to, before we leave instrumentation, I just want to say how much I really love in between the Long John Silver going into Johnny Scarecrow.
Yeah.
There's that little sting where it's got to be Martin going in on acoustic and then pulling out in electric. Like really one of the one or two times we hear electric in this song.
Yeah.
But it's this fun little kind of surprise burst in there.
Yeah.
I feel it's, I mean, in terms of it being a predominantly acoustic song, it's not it's not like the song would have been terrible without it, but it's a nice little kind of little change up, I guess.
It's funny. I don't think of this as being an acoustic song, even though it predominantly is, because it doesn't have
I know, yeah.
It has such richness. It doesn't have that pared down feeling. It feels like a rock and roll song, even though there's barely any electric guitar on it.
Yeah, to be honest, like I never thought of it as acoustic as well until I saw basically an analysis on it, and it said like this is one of the acoustic songs off of Aqualung, and I was like, wait a second.
No, but it feels like fairy tale rock, or like I don't know, like it's its own genre suddenly.
Yeah, but like we've been saying, there's just so much depth to it that it does not feel your standard acoustic sound.
Yes, certainly. Speaking of depth,
let's talk depth. Omen.
Yes.
Mother Goose.
Uh-oh.
What do you got for me?
Oh, the song or the original concept?
Oh, yes.
I wish I hadn't suggested the original concept because I have not done very much research. But I do know that Mother Goose is a very ancient figure which goes back centuries and centuries, and maybe even to the time of the mother of Alexander the Great.
Oh.
Yes.
Is she like the mythical, physical embodiment of like the Brothers Grimm? Or not quite?
Well, I would almost say, and this is me spouting completely just out of my spout, because I am a little teapot.
Clean those spouts regularly, Omen. Clean them regularly.
But I feel like she's almost the opposite of the Brothers Grimm, because the Brothers Grimm went around and collected these folk tales and wrote them down and published them in a nice book, and made a pretty penny doing it. I feel like Mother Goose is the embodiment of the oral tradition.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
She's the keeper of stories. When Mother Goose is depicted, it's often, or sometimes, I don't know if you ever had like Mother Goose coming to your school, and it was just, it was a nice lady who had a basket full of books, and she came and read or told stories. It was more about her and her storytelling ability than, whatever hot children's book was off the shelf.
So it was more the act, not the story.
Or the story as a telling, as a live event rather than a written down
Got it. Okay.
thing. There's something alive about it.
Mm-hmm. She is upholding the oratory tradition.
Absolutely. Storytelling and a kind of storytelling specifically for children, which I think dates back really far in history, but also is sort of very rooted in our primal memories as human beings, if we were lucky enough to be told stories as children, which, if you have children, go and tell them a story right now. Put down this podcast, go and tell them a story, and then send them back to college and come and listen to the rest of the podcast.
That was a good turn.
Thank you.
But in all seriousness, read to your kids.
No, for real though, they literally need it. Their brains need it.
Yeah. For reals.
For dingles.
For dingles. Omen.
Yeah.
Historical and conceptual Mother Goose aside.
Oh. Yes.
Tell me about this song.
You know what? You finally caught me.
Finally got you.
I mean,
good, because I'm at a loss.
Here's what I'll say. I had an extremely active imagination as a young person.
Mm-hmm.
And I still do have a very active imagination, but I've tempered that with a more grounded sense of reality. I can hear
But I've tempered that with alcohol.
I can hear my parents laughing at me as I say this. But for me, my takeaway is someone at the park and seeing different people and just automatically, spontaneously, without even being aware of it, generating narratives and generating stories about those people as soon as they see them, and creating these narrative landscapes in which they themselves are the hero.
Huh. So an overactive imagination paired with people watching.
And megalomania, yes, send me to a doctor.
Well, yeah.
I'm very sick.
I wonder if they're all references to some story that we're just not aware of. Like some of it, obviously, we know. Like Long John Silver, we obviously know.
Oh, you mean
that's the only one?
Are you saying that you feel like all of the references might be relating to a singular story?
No. They each come from their own individual story. We just don't know those stories.
Possibly, but I think maybe so. But I think that we can read into what kind of stories they are, even if we don't specifically know what they are. For instance, walked down by the bathing pond to try to catch some sun. Must have been at least 100 schoolgirls sobbing into handkerchiefs as one.
Walk down by the bathing pond to try and catch some sun. Saw at least 100 schoolgirls sobbing into handkerchiefs as
Okay,
one.
let's say our narrator was indeed walking in the park and did indeed see a bunch of schoolgirls, maybe 2 or 3 of them, who knows how many, weeping.
Uh-huh.
Maybe those are real things that were seen. And then I feel like it's a very logical leap, imaginatively, to expand the number, to make it, much more epic in your mind. Oh, there's three girls crying. Actually, there are 100 girls crying. And then finally, to imagine oneself as the cause. I don't believe they knew I was a schoolboy.
I don't believe they knew I was a schoolboy.
How is that the cause?
Because he'd broken their hearts,
Oh.
is what I get from it.
Huh. So is this more the narrator telling us an exaggerated story of what he experienced? Is this us sitting down with a 5-year-old and he tells us about seeing 100 people walking across the street or a dog climbed a tree or something, like just that crazy unbridled imagination that a little kid has?
I think that it is that kind of imagination, but it's in an adult. It's in Ian Anderson. It's in all of us. It's that ability.
There's a little bit of Ian Anderson in all of us.
Whoop. And I think that there's something very natural about that. Like, everyone makes up stories, right? You go to work and
Sure.
And your boss, mostly they're negative, like often they're negative stories. You go into work and you say hi to your boss and your boss goes to you. And you think, oh no, he found out about how I stole copier paper. I'm going to be fired. I should sell my house. And in fact, it's like, that person just happened to have too spicy a bagel in the morning and we're having some irritable bowel syndrome. The facts don't correspond at all to the narrative that you create from them, usually.
Yeah. You create only with what input you are given, and you're never given 100%.
Exactly. And if you were, your brain would melt. But I think that the human mind is always trying to create narratives. Like that's one of our weird superpowers that we can't really turn off that well.
Yeah.
But that we're not often that aware of.
Yeah, I mean that is the boiled down explanation to the spread of culture and the spread of knowledge is telling stories.
Right.
Sharing information.
Exactly.
On the deepest of anthropological levels, that is, we are all the narrator in Mother Goose. I think that's
exactly. And we're going about our day seeing, here are these schoolgirls crying. Oh, I bet it was me that they're all in love with and they can't have me. Oh, there's the laborers. Oh, they're trying to dig up their gold, but I already stole it. Like it's a bit. It's fantastical.
Yeah.
And so I feel like this song is that mental process mixed with all of this childhood imagery.
There is a certain degree of naivete, a certain innocence in this song.
Tell me more.
Just in terms of being able to go through life and thinking, oh, I'm a pirate and I was a schoolboy, etc.
Right.
Being able to disconnect from God, any other countless number of Ian Anderson's songs where he's complaining about something, and I'm not using that pejoratively, but it's just how he communicates. That he can have a very, for lack of a better term, light-hearted song.
Well, and that is, yes, I agree, and this does set it apart from Aqualung and Cross-Eyed Mary in that regard, that it's not like, I saw these things, and they were horrible, despicable, the dredges of human society. It's like...
Even Cheap Day Return.
Right. There's a bit of cynicism there in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a lightness to this song. Even though I feel like there's... Maybe it's just the music itself. Maybe it's just the actual, like, audible music of it, the instrumentation. It feels like there's a little cynicism there. It doesn't feel as innocent as the lyrics make it seem.
I would say it feels a little bit carnivalesque in a way.
Sure.
But there's nothing in it that directly speaks of a loss of innocence. There's something, it's a bit naughty sometimes.
Okay.
But it's not sexual, or it's not violent, I would say.
Yeah.
One source described this song as a pastiche.
Huh.
Pastiche, of course, coming from the Italian pasticcio or the French pâté, referring to a pie filling comprised of many disparate elements. A pastiche in art is, of course, a marrying together of lots of different styles or images or concepts in a way that doesn't necessarily make fun of them, but more sort of celebrates them.
So this is a pastiche in the sense that it's just a collection of fairy tale references?
Yeah, I think so, tied together, and they're disparate, right? Like there are elements that don't automatically sync up.
Well, they fall under a greater umbrella.
True.
Of that fairy tale sense.
But it also inverts some of it. Mother Goose is always viewed as a sweet, kindly, loving, caring figure. And the first verse is, I came upon Mother Goose, so I turned her loose, and she was screaming.
Well, to me, that feels like she was screaming because she was trapped or tied up or whatever. Although I know it comes later comes after the fact. I don't know. To me, that imagery was always, because she was screaming, he let her loose.
Interesting. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I came upon Mother Goose, so I turned her loose. She was screaming. That's the explanation as to his having turned her loose.
I feel like either way, there's sort of a metaphor there of, I let my imagination run wild, and here's what happened.
Yeah.
I turned loose my imagination either because it was screaming inside me, or I turned it loose and then it went screaming all over the place.
Right.
Both
like
of
Daffy
which,
Duck.
Yeah, exactly. Both of which kind of work.
Yeah, that's true. I never thought of Mother Goose being the allegorical representation of his imagination.
Yeah, I don't think I ever did either.
But I love that. I think that works really well. It makes a whole hell of a lot more sense now, going down the last line in that first stanza. And a foreign student said to me, was it really true there are elephants, lions too in Piccadilly Circus?
And a foreign student said to me, was it really true? There are elephants and lions too in Piccadilly Circus.
Piccadilly Circus isn't a circus.
No. No, it's a square or a kind of a roundabout in London.
And it never made sense to me, but now it makes absolute sense.
Right.
Oh, it's called a circus, so there should be elephants and lions there.
Right. So it's sort of I mean, I love that line because it's so complex. Like in one way, it's making fun of the people who come to London. They're like, oh my God, it's Piccadilly Circus. I can't wait to see the clowns, like this sort of tourist stuff. But also, in a way, taking that viewpoint of taking things at their delightful face value.
Yeah. Again, I want to go back to it being a certain degree of naivete, of just not knowing.
Exactly.
Not knowing better.
And so filling in the blanks with a sort of logic, a sort of childlike logic.
Yeah.
Saw Johnny Scarecrow make his rounds in his jet black Mac, which he won't give back, stole it from a snowman.
Saw Johnny Scarecrow make his rounds in his jet's black Mac, which he won't give back, stole it from a snowman.
I can imagine seeing someone and being like, oh yeah, that's a Scarecrow. He stole his jacket from a snowman. And, that's a game that people play sometimes. When you people watch, you make up stories about, I mean, you always do it, but sometimes you do it intentionally.
Yeah, you actively do it, yeah.
But riding the subway, it's impossible not to, because you see in your 45-minute, who am I kidding, hour-long commute.
Thanks, MTA.
Thanks, MTA. No, it's fine. It's they're doing their best. I mean, there's some stuff, but
we'll talk after the podcast, MTA.
Yeah, call us. But you see literally hundreds of people on your commute.
Yeah.
And each of them are going somewhere, and each of them are coming from somewhere, and each of them is a person with a history. I like to play a game where I just look at people's shoes and try to extrapolate the rest of the person just based on the shoes, and then I look up and see if I'm right or not. I'm never right. But that's what's fun about it.
I mean, most people probably just listen to podcasts, but no. Not Omen Sade.
If only there were some good podcasts to listen to on the train, Nick.
Absolute garbage. Nothing out there.
I've been reading The Count of Monte Cristo on the train.
You can read on a train?
I can read, thank you, yes. The educational system did not fail me that much.
Well, Mexico, New York, you never know. No, I couldn't read on the train, though. I can read while I'm driving just fine, but...
Yeah, or watch TV.
Most people do. Or not most, but I've seen people doing it.
Next time you ride the train, call me, and I will read to you. How about that?
You'll be my personal audiobook?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Nice.
Okay, here's a question.
If we start a Patreon, we should offer that service.
Oh, yes. What is a chicken fancier?
He has a long red beard and a weird sister who drives a truck.
Mm-hmm.
Bearded lady said to me, if you start your raving and misbehaving, be sorry. Then the chicken fancier came to play with his long red beard and his sister weird.
Then the chicken fancier came to play with his long red beard and his sister's weird. She drives a lorry.
Chicken fancier. But it's hyphenated.
There is apparently a chicken fancier magazine.
Oh, well, yeah.
Oh, I see. An adult male homosexual sexually attracted to underage males. Used somewhat derogatorily. Oh, I see. Yes, a chicken fancier. Yes, I see now.
Is a young person called a chicken?
Yeah. As in, she ain't no spring chicken.
Oh. Okay. All right. So it's just another character in his story.
Yeah.
In his experience, a dude with a long red beard.
Right. At the park. And he's like, oh, that guy's a chicken fancier. He's watching those same kids that I am watching all by myself.
In my trench coat.
In my trench coat with my crazy long beard. Right. Exactly.
Throw not the first stone, Mr. Anderson.
Lest the chicken fancier stone be thrown back at ye.
Yep. I think that's the rest of the parable. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah. Any further thoughts on Mother Goose?
I'm going to read from the History Channel's webpage about Mother Goose to you for a moment. Would you like that?
Like the first Mother Goose that we talked about?
Yeah.
Like the concept of Mother Goose?
The historical...
Or like the History Channel talking about this song?
Spoiler alert, it was aliens. That's all the History Channel does now.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that history. Well, it's like MTV being music television, also not music now, so.
Right. You know, I don't put much weight in memes, but there is one that I quite like, where it's a collection, it's a pastiche, if you will, of the pyramids and Easter Island and Stonehenge and the line drawings of South America, and it says, "Just because white people couldn't do it doesn't mean it was aliens." All right, I'm just going to read you this small paragraph. In fact, the etymology of the moniker Mother Goose may have evolved over centuries, originating as early as the 8th century.
Wow.
With Bertrada II of Leon, mother of Charlemagne, the first emperor.
My favorite Bertrada.
Mother of Charlemagne, the first emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, who was a patroness of children known as Goose-footed Bertha or Queen Goosefoot, due to a malformation of her foot.
That was not offensive?
No, she was the emperor. She was the mother of the emperor.
I know, it just feels offensive to call someone a goosefoot.
Well, it was the 8th century.
Fair enough. That was probably one of the least offensive things that was said.
Exactly. By the mid-17th century, mère l'oeil, Mother Goose, was a phrase commonly used in France to describe a woman who captivated children with delightful tales.
Huh.
In 1697, Charles Perrault published a collection of folk tales with the subtitle Contes de ma mère l'oeil, Tales from My Mother Goose, which became beloved throughout France and was translated into English in 1729.
So it stemmed from this one lady with a club foot.
Yep.
Who liked kids, was the patroness of kids.
Also the mother of Charlemagne.
Well, but that's irrelevant to the Mother Goose aspect of it, is it not? Unless that in itself gave her the longevity of being this character.
I think that might.
I think it's
possibly be
circumstantial.
correct.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're not unrelated, but they're not interdependent.
Yeah. So it really stems from this lady, and then it kind of went from there. It went from a specific person to a general term.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which I know happens fairly regularly, but I could not come up with an example right now of one. You'll just have to take my word for it.
Oh, what about a Benedict Arnold?
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. A specific person becomes an idea.
Right. Batman.
Becomes a concept.
Did you hear me just now when I said Batman?
No, I did not hear Batman.
Do you think in 8 centuries from now, people will be like, "Oh yeah, that guy's a real Ian Anderson"?
I was hoping that you would say, "Oh yeah, that guy's a real feckless mome."
Ooh, well, we have our new goal.
Yeah.
Nick, anything else about the song Mother Goose?
I have a much stronger respect for this song now. Now that we've really kind of... And I'm pretty confident, I'm pretty happy about the deciphering of the meaning behind the lyrics. There was nothing in a Passion Play for this one?
No.
No. The Ballad of Jethro Tull should be shipping... I think they said I'd have it by January at the latest.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, so we'll definitely have to throw in some addenda once I get that and read up on it. Hopefully there's a bit more explanation of certain songs and stuff.
Do you ever, when you have to take like a long car trip by yourself, imagine that you are a deep space vessel pilot?
Not once in my life.
Really?
Yeah, not once.
So, what are we listening to next week, Nick?
Do you want to unpack that, Omen, or?
I was just saying that I sometimes create more exciting than real life narratives to occupy to keep my interest in real life while I'm doing something that's boring.
So you Mother Goose it, basically.
I goose it.
You goose it, Mother. Next week, we are listening to another really beautiful acoustic one, Wondering Aloud.
Oh my gosh.
I love this song.
I might be out sick due to weeping.
Just 45 minutes of you bawling.
Yeah, pretty
It's
much.
such a beautiful song.
Oh,
it's really beautiful.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Right.
Until next week, why don't you tell your children the story of how you once wrote a beautiful review for a couple of handsome young podcast princes and defeated the evil internet dragon of obscurity.
That was really good.
Thank you.
I could not have come up with something like that.
And you didn't.
I did not.
You didn't need to.
I trusted you to do it.
Until next week, I'm Omen Sade.
And I am Nick McGill.
We certainly are Feckless Momes.
And this is most definitely Talk Tull to Me.
Now gather round, children.
Ooh, tell us a story.
All right, settle down now. Have a butterscotch.
Ooh, Werther's original.
Once upon a time, Talk Tull to Me was a proud member of the Feckless Momes Audio Network.
And then what happened?
End. Nap time!
Okay.
Time for Granny to get out her medicine.
It's just heart medicine, isn't it?
I'm very ill.